till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah. No, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. We'll go. Along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. We'll go. We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Welcome everybody to the DeFi Direct episode. This is the first episode in a new series that we'll be starting. We'll be collabing with a ton of different crypto projects in the DeFi space, talking about what's going on in DeFi with those individual projects, and of course, getting some community engagement and some crossover that way as well. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring in who's representing for each individual project. So starting us off today, we're going to go ahead and bring in Jeff representing ShillX.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming on. We, of course, have Safemoon Ace representing Enhance. And, of course, looks like Katz may not be here with us, but he will be here representing Safemoon. And we have a few others representing Glow and also representing Affinity that should be showing up here anytime soon. So without further ado, we'll just hop right into it. So first of all, thank you guys for showing up and participating in this week's DeFi Direct. It's an awesome opportunity to have each of you guys here individually. To get us started while we're kind of waiting for the others to hop in, why don't we just go around and kind of give kind of your elevator pitch about what makes your project unique and why people should take a look at maybe potentially getting involved with your community. So we'll start off with Jeff. and then we'll kind of go down to Safemoon Ace here, and then if Kat shows up, we'll have him speak as well.
Yeah. So when we think about kind of Web3 in general, it's slated to be a $1.6 trillion industry, and one of the things that was missing from the space was really an affiliate network to be able to monetize that for not only the members of communities, but influencers like yourself. So we've launched recently our first platform, which is focused specifically on tokens. And so allowing somebody to essentially come in, launch a program, allow affiliates to come and set up a personal swap where they can get a commission on every sale that they generate through their custom dApp. And really the whole goal here is to build a cross project community where everybody can benefit from a growing base of customers.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So basically you're building, just so I can reiterate, make sure I understand, it's basically a platform where affiliates, producers, content creators can come together and get sort of a kickback for having helped promoted their specific project, where affiliate programs may not already exist within that community. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. I always like to say that, imagine all of the people that you told to buy your favorite token. If you had gotten a piece of every sale, how much better off you'd be. And that's really kind of the sales pitch.
Well, perfect. Awesome. We're really looking forward to hearing more about how you guys are planning to do that and your roadmap looking forward. So,
Awesome.
So for Safemoon Ace, for Enhance, what is kind of your elevator pitch to someone who's maybe never heard of the project before? They just maybe have heard through other programs it's been a part of. What's kind of your elevator pitch to them as far as what you guys offer and what makes you guys unique?
Man, we got to be one of the most craziest, unique, tight, unified communities out there. Everything that we do, multiple businesses as far as our shop goes, our energy drinks, our NFTs. We're launching a marketplace along with a 10,000 piece collection here very, very soon. That's going to end up doing and producing a solar powered mining operation that's going to fund our token forever. On top of that, I mean, we have so many other things in the list of things to knock out. And not to mention, we're the greatest Safemoon enhancement squadron to ever exist. We've set out to be the number one contributing contract to Safemoon. And I think both of those things we can officially say now. It's with all the things that we've had going on. And then outside of that, that is our primary mission, assisting Safemoon safely to the moon. Our secondary mission is creating ourselves our own ecosystem and empire to be a standalone valuable asset. And everything that we do funds back into the token. Outside projects, inside projects, every single thing that we put into play, we fund back into our token through auto LP injection, buy and burns, things like that.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you on today and to talk more about what you guys are doing to help Safemoon. As you've mentioned, you're the number one contract for helping push Safemoon in a positive direction with helping with burn, reflections, and everything else that goes on within the Enhance ecosystem. So looking forward to hearing more about that today. And then we have Brian here joining us today, representing Glow. So welcome, Brian, to the stream.
Hey, I'm still trying to get my mic fixed, so give me one moment.
No, we're good. Yeah, we'll come right back to you, okay? Katz,
right.
are you with us?
Hi, yes, I am here. There's no Cam today because I am just on the tail end of recovering from COVID, so I don't look the greatest, so I would rather look at my pretty cat picture instead.
No worries, man. I appreciate you being here, especially after being sick. So I appreciate you taking the time to come join us on this. Obviously, Safemoon's probably the larger project here, most well known. But for those who may, for some reason, not know about Safemoon, what's kind of your elevator pitch in just a couple of minutes to maybe why someone would want to get involved with Safemoon?
The easiest and simplest way I can explain Safemoon is they were one of the first tokenomics projects / cryptocurrencies that came to the market. And the way that I would simply explain tokenomics is look at us like a bank. A bank makes money off their money, and the bank takes all the profits. Why? So we changed that method now to essentially say is anything that goes to our ecosystem, whether that be a transaction or any products that are associated with the token, all benefit the holder holding. So you put money into the token, you hold, you receive a percentage or a portion back based on whatever's happening within the network. And that can be, as we said, from transactions to the hinted NFTs that John's been tweeting out. There's so many different things, and we could list them off and be here for a while. So, but yeah, we want to become an ecosystem where we're giving back to the holders for holding, and you want to be able to live off those holdings. So that's the basic grand scheme. There's loads of products that go into that and make that more exciting than just a figure on a screen.
Well, perfect. We want to hear definitely a little bit more about some of those as we go on throughout the rest of the night. I'm sure there's a lot of people that may be showing up for the live stream who may not be that familiar with Safemoon. Maybe they've heard about it because they were a fan of Enhance, or they were a fan of Affinity, and they know that they're partnered with that ecosystem, and that's about the extent. So hopefully we can learn a little bit more about Safemoon for those who may not be as familiar with the project. So the first thing I wanted to get into was kind of the brass tacks here. DeFi is an expanding space. It's a growing space, and there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of just misunderstanding with projects, with the way that DeFi works, and just accessibility to DeFi in general. So for the layman who's just out living their daily 9-to-5 lives, they've got kids, they've got a lot on their plate, it's really hard for them to be always keeping up with all the projects that are going on, not to mention the fact having to learn how to even get involved with DeFi, because for a lot of projects, especially when they're new, you're going through all these hoops and tricks to even get involved with that. What is going to be, maybe we can talk about more generally in DeFi, or we can talk specifically with projects. I kind of want to leave that up for your own interpretation, but what do you guys think is the kind of vision moving forward to bring in your regular average day person into projects like what we're trying to develop here in this space, that's going to make it easy for them to use, and it's not going to be this complex, crazy system that they have to try to learn? And of course, we can get into security and other things later, but I kind of want to lead off with that very open-ended question. And I'll leave the floor open for anyone who wants to take that.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of us probably got Safemoon. A lot of the people, at least in my network, kind of started with Safemoon, and going back to the beginning of that experience, and as the space was kind of evolving, it was, really a matter of, well, okay, well, go get a wallet. Okay, well, which wallet? Okay, well, no, the wallets don't work. Go get Trust Wallet. Then you get Trust Wallet, and somebody's like, Pancake Swap. I'm like, no, I'm not hungry. Like, what do I need to do to actually buy this thing? And then you go and you get Pancake Swap, and then you realize it won't buy, and they're like slippage. And so then you're like trying to figure out what the heck slippage is. And all of a sudden it's been 6 hours and you finally buy a token. And so like
you forgot the part where they say click the little now all the slippage, you just got to click the wheel at the top.
Yeah.
What wheel are we talking about?
and so it was like, I mean, first of all, like it took a long time for people to be able to figure it out. And then when you have to go and tell somebody about that process, they would think you were like absolutely crazy. And so what we're seeing is already in just like, in just a year, or like 9 months for many people, we've seen that shift where, you look at the dApps that are happening now, and you look at the swaps that are happening now, and people are simplifying them, streamlining them. I think every project here has a dApp that's been really, really streamlined to kind of remove as many clicks as possible. And so I think that's part of it. I think the second part of it is the fiat onboarding process, right? And so, making sure that it's really simple to be able to get the fiat, to be able to facilitate that swap, that needs to be seamless. And then from there, that entire experience needs to be carried across, whether you're going to go and do something more complicated like staking, or you want to go and swap a token for an NFT, right? It's all about very simple user experience that, you can go and put in front of a 5-year-old, or you can go and put in front of an 80-year-old, and, maybe with a couple of suggestions, they can figure out how to get it done. So I think that's where we need to go. And that's what we're seeing a lot of projects doing.
Perfect. Thank you. That was I think a great answer. Was there anything that Katz or Ace you wanted to add to that?
I can add. Yeah. I was kind of just piggybacking off of what Jeff was saying here. I think some of the things, if he covered most of the general stuff, I can go a little bit further into things that we've done specifically for our project. Number one, first and foremost, we had we eliminated a lot of that stuff by being able to have a direct buy feature, which is, a simple swapper contract that allows somebody to say, hey, if you've got some BNB, boom, you just send it to this address. It does all the swapping for you and just sends it back to you. That right there helped tremendously when we're talking about people trying to figure out who they trust and what kind of pancakes they're eating. You know what I'm saying? So it made things a whole lot simpler. And then what we've also been working on in the background and is really almost brought to the light as well with all the projects that we have going on inside of Enhance is our education. So we've got a whole lot of dope guys that are getting in there and going education and news hub style with this whole platform that we're putting together. It's going to take people from newbies, like you said, that explains to them in tutorials and PDFs and all kinds of cool different things, how to go from, even getting your first apps, whether that's a wallet or how do you get your money into crypto to begin with, all the way up to some of the more technical things. These guys are going crazy over there, and I can't wait to release some of that stuff to you guys.
Well, perfect. Sounds like you guys are working pretty hard then to try to get that point across of education being key, right? Because if you don't understand what you're dealing with, it can get really difficult.
That's been dear to our hearts since we began. Me jumping into doing this thing, I'm still new, right? So I'm not one of these guys that said, man, I've been messing with Bitcoin since, whatever, for 8-10 years. That's not been me. I did fall into crypto about a little over a year ago. So there's lots of things that I'm still learning too. And that's okay. I'm here to also show people that you can progress forward and learn things along the way. There's nobody has to be a master of this before you can start this. Anybody can jump in here and say, hey man, I'm just trying to get in where I fit in and learn as I go. And the communities are very responsive to that. It's dope, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it helps sometimes to be a little bit closer to that because the experience was so fresh of learning that you're like, hey, this is what I had to learn. Now I can turn around and show that education to people because it's fresh for me versus someone who may have been in the space for 12 years who's like,
absolutely,
they evolved with the space. So it's really hard for them to transition to teach someone new everything. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that gives it a different perspective to it. That can be very helpful for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And Katz, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
I think both the guys there have covered pretty much everything as a whole. I think what I will use, kind of going back a little bit old school, is not just freedom of the unbanked, which is SafeMoon's kind of core, but is also freedom of the banked, and just getting away from it. So, how to put it, controlled space to the point where you've seen it over the last 2 years, how things are becoming heavily inflated. Things are going through the roof, and there's been more inflation, not just with the US dollar, but with a lot of the main currencies, GDP, the euro. They're all being printed and printed and printed. And the beauty with crypto is it removes the inflation aspect. Depending on the project, of course, some are inflationary to some extent. Safemoon and some of the other tokens are all deflationary, but that's the beauty of it, is it's gonna keep its value based on what the users want and not controlled by governments as such. So yeah, it's DeFi as a whole is just a great space to be a part of, just because it's also so early. DeFi in itself has only started to bloom in the last 12 months. As much as it's been around for a lot longer, in the last 12 months, the innovation has just grew tremendously. And I don't know how many people here can say they had to calculate their own gas. And to calculate their own gas, that was hell in itself. So now being able to have just any swap calculate all that for you and, get to that process where as long as you've got the main chain currency, you can pretty much go wherever you want. So, and then that obviously leads into my area of education and stuff, but there's a whole lot to be discussed there. So,
well, perfect. Thank you for that answer, Katz. I agree 100% on that. Shane and Brian, seems like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. So if they dropped out, I'll bring you guys back on. But for those that are here, Shane, do you want to kind of just introduce your guys' project, just albeit briefly?
Yeah, I think Brian's having some technical difficulties jumping back in there. So my name's Shane. I'm in the marketing team at Glow V2. So basically we're a BSC chain token. We have a 15% buy and sell tax, and 10% is distributed in BUSD rewards to the holders. And we have a marketing fund. We have a charity fund as well. So charity is very close to our heart. So 1% of this tax gets distributed to charity. So we've already distributed over 25 grand to charities. These charities are voted on by the community and suggested by the community as well. So we're quite a community-driven project, and everything is about the community, really. And we also have a lottery system. So if you hold $50 worth of Glow, you're eligible for the $10,000 lottery. And if you hold with that, basically, once the wallet hits the $10,000, that's done live. And we have a $100 daily lottery as well, and you need to hold $20 worth of Glow to be eligible for that, and that's run daily. So that's sort of a brief overview of our project. So yeah.
Perfect, thank you. So it sounds like there's a lot of chances to win some free tokens that way. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly, and it's good for the community. It's good for charity. It benefits everyone. So we're trying to do a bit of good in the DeFi world.
Well, good. It's good to hear that. So kind of going back over to the topic that we were covering before, one of the things that Kat's kind of mentioned that I wanted to get into a little bit is you mentioned how DeFi has really evolved, right? And prior to, it was extremely difficult to get into DeFi, and there was a sort of like meminess to DeFi that stigma still sticks around today, where there's still quite a lot of different rug pulls that go on with the exclusive design purpose of being a rug pull. There's a lot of projects that are out there that are just strictly given crazy names because they're easy to make, and their entire purpose is just to be funny or what have you, to be a joke. There's no real serious intent behind it. There's no innovation that's going to be driven behind it. It's just a name. It's funny to see because when Bitcoin first came out, anything that was not Bitcoin, that was a cryptocurrency that attempted to do something similar to Bitcoin, was considered an altcoin. And it was almost like fringe, like there was like this purist mentality of it's Bitcoin and everything else is like this altcoin thing. You know, it's high risk. You don't want to mess with it. There was a lot of kind of fun about the idea of having altcoins. And then over the years, altcoins really started to get their place. They started to develop real world utility and use case. We've seen the massive rise of the Binance Smart Chain. We've seen the massive rise of all these different chains that have existed. Of course, you can't go without saying Ethereum, and then everything else that's gone on afterwards, and more modern types like Algorand and everything else that's been developed. So you've got these kind of official blockchains that people will even now refer to as these blue chip cryptos, right? Because we went from altcoins in almost a negative sense to these like highly endeared and time-tested projects that people trust, and you have very wealthy, very influential people getting involved with these projects. Now we're getting into tokens and DeFi, which kind of is seeing, in my opinion, a similar rise, right? So there's this kind of, the mainstream people in crypto look at DeFi as this like almost fringe, like bad thing. It's just a meme, it's a joke. That's where you go to lose money and gamble. There's all this going on, but they're starting to see these projects involving in DeFi that are really starting to develop their own place. And we've seen even what we would call quote unquote blue chip cryptos that started off as DeFi projects that are now becoming mainstream projects and considered blue chip by many people. And some of these projects here today may end up becoming one of those same things as you develop your own blockchains and products that could eventually push you into that same category. Do you guys see DeFi as just becoming this bed of initial growth for potential projects that will grow into the blue chip in the future? Or do you guys feel like DeFi is going to eventually grow into its own respected category in the future? I know that's, again, a pretty crazy and complex question, but I kind of wanted to throw that out here. It's kind of the point of direct DeFi is we really want to get down to brass tacks here. So we can go ahead in reverse order. Ace, if you want to start, and we'll go up the order.
I'm going to say that I do kind of like the feel. Just I'm thinking of the things as you're actually, talking about it here. Like, DeFi being this pool of growth where people can sit in and nurture and learn and grab some things. And next thing you know, once they start producing, they rise up out of that. And maybe they do become either the blue chips of DeFi, or just blue chip cryptos in general. That's definitely something that we're striving for. I'll be 1000% honest. That's what my eyes are focused on, is way down there. That's why some of the projects that we have working on is to ensure that and automate that no matter what. I think that's dope, to be able to think that some of us, people in here, what I'm saying? I would love to say that, I like all these guys in here. I would love to say, at one point we were having a discussion way back in, 2022, talking about, what's going on with DeFi and what's to come of these blue chip cryptos. And then we're the blue chip cryptos talking about it, right? So I'm excited, man. Listen, like whatever comes about it, I think it's positive, and I think it's it's just pushing us in a better direction. However you want to label it, doesn't matter to me. But I think we're all here for a reason, and it's going to be very lovely as we progress down the road, and the road gets wider and smoother. It's going to be great.
Awesome. Great answer. Thank you. Welcome, Brian, to the chat. And we know we had some technical difficulties there at the beginning, but it's awesome to see that you were able to come on board. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to that? I don't know if you were able to hear the question originally.
I believe I heard the question. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Oh, nice. Okay, so Ace pretty much summed it up. We all strive to become a blue chip token coin one day. I mean, at the end of the day, we're doing this. It isn't for our health, our benefit. It's for the communities. It's for the families around the world. It's for everybody that's an investor. I mean, we want to be able to come to that next level. We want to be able to benefit as much as we can. So, of course, I mean, as far as the next level goes, or the ultimate goal, I can't really say the next level, but the ultimate goal is to become that next big blue chip stock, that one that actually has a face behind it. I mean, that's something you don't really see. You see all of us out here just constantly striving for it.
100%. Thank you, Brian. That's a great answer. Zach, I don't know. I can see that you've got your mic off and your picture off. Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, we had a schedule mishap over on our end. I'm actually out and about. That's why my video is not on, but I am present, ready to go.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on board and taking the time. Before we get to the question, if you don't mind just kind of giving a brief explanation, like 2-minute elevator pitch of Affinity and what you guys represent and why someone might be interested in your project.
Yeah, 100%. So what Affinity is we are a token on the BSC network. More importantly, we also are now an established incorporation out of Delaware. We also have real world utilities that will be coming to the market within the next few weeks. What we've created is a username-based platform, a premier way for people to send crypto with just a username, whether that be business to business, business to customer, or peer to peer. So you no longer have to worry about your wallet address when you say send enhance to. If Ace wants to send enhance to Jeff over here, then he can do it just by putting in Jeff enhance $100 and it's gone in a way. So that's the very brief overview of what we're trying to do. The Adapt platform itself, sorry, the name is Adapt, but the Adapt platform itself is going to be built out in multiple ways. We do have a swap, which enables any token that's listed on Adapt currently. You can go and buy it safely without having to worry about the contract address or the slippage. And then we will have a peer-to-peer exchange coming in the future as well. So same example here, if I wanted to say swap $100 worth of Affinity for $100 worth of Enhance, we wouldn't have to do it by selling against our charts. Essentially, I would just put up how much I want to sell, what tokens I'm looking for the amount of tokens, and someone can come and fill my order. So again, that's very, very brief overview of what we're looking to do. But at the end of the day, we're just like everybody else here, we're here to unite DeFi. Our product has no limitations to who can use it, in whether it's e-commerce or in the world that we live in now, So very, very brief.
Legendary.
I can keep going.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. Did you want to add to anything as far as the question that we were asked before? I don't know if you were able to hear it.
I did not hear it, but I'd happily answer it again if you want.
Okay, yeah. Let me just do a brief synopsis. I'm sure there's people coming in the space who may not even have heard the question, so I'll make it brief. We just kind of mentioned how the space in crypto has evolved quite a lot. So you had Bitcoin originally, and then anything that was not Bitcoin was called an altcoin and was kind of considered fringe. It was like, that's, they're just trying to copy Bitcoin. Eventually we saw the rise of things like Ethereum, ADA, all the different chains that have developed since then. And those kind of other tokens have now earned a place amongst kind of the top tier projects with crypto. And it's not just Bitcoin is crypto and crypto is Bitcoin, but you now have these other alternative coins that have now considered a reasonable and a respected place in crypto. Now we've kind of seen this evolution of DeFi kind of coming up as another level that's going to kind of currently been treated over the last year, 2 years, the way that altcoins were treated at the emergence of altcoins after Bitcoin. Do you foresee DeFi kind of gaining that same level of respect down the road as it evolves? Or do you foresee DeFi becoming this kind of hotbed where tokens and projects begin and get started, and then eventually outgrow DeFi, become their own respected projects in their own rights as they develop their own blockchains and products that way? So do you kind of see it more as the hotbed approach where DeFi is always going to be kind of this crazy place and projects will rise out of it and kind of mature out of that space? Or do you feel like the space as a whole is going to grow together?
So it could go one of both ways, honestly. There are going to be those select few that you could say go on and prosper to be bigger tokens. And then there's always going to be those who stick together and stay to their roots. So truthfully, it could go either which way, but both sides could be profitable and both sides could be beneficial to the space in itself, right? At the end of the day, we are all cryptocurrencies, and we all need to figure out how we can use our own currency to its own utility, right? Whether that's token use or the product that you make. And both of those can be developed to, be a big blue chip, or to stay in this realm of helping other DeFi products or projects or companies prosper to become bigger. So truthfully, I think it could work either which way.
Awesome. Great answer. Thank you, Zach. And Shane and Jeff, either one of you guys, Cats, any of you guys want to pitch in on that?
Yeah, so I think as a whole, DeFi hasn't even tipped the iceberg yet on what it could be. I think what needs to be looked at from an outside view is, yes, you're going to have a lot of these projects that are sort of pump and dump, but I think as the time evolves and the space evolves, more and more tokens become serious, because this is what happened when Bitcoin started to become big. People were copying it, and there's a lot of pump and dumps. But I think there's a lot of value in the DeFi space, because obviously banks and stuff are becoming negative interest rates and stuff now. So why wouldn't you have your money in a reflectionary token where you're actually gaining interest just by holding an asset? So I think DeFi is definitely going to be sort of a space that evolves in the future, and it definitely has utility. And I think it's gonna become a blue chip. It's going to threaten the stock market. It's going to threaten the big financial institutions we have today. I know that's hard for people to comprehend, but I think it's going to happen.
Awesome. Great answer, Shane. Jeff or Katz, did you guys want to add to that at all?
For me, it's going to be coming across for mass adoption. That's the biggest and key thing for anything to do with the DeFi space. The first thing that you've got to kind of establish is, where's the store of value? Right now, we use the US dollar, and everything is paired with any of our tokens to a US dollar value or a GBP value, or whatever it is, whatever country you're using. We need to equate to how much is going to be a loaf of bread. How much am I going to go to the store and buy that loaf of bread for with whatever cryptocurrency? And again, right now, it always goes to the USD. So for me, I see this in a different way. Is you're going to have those big players that have that store of value. And how we progress through that and who is going to be those store of values is to be decided. Right now, yes, it's Bitcoin. But as we move forward, could that be any one of us? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But on the other side, what I see DeFi becoming is the new stock market. Right now, we're seeing the projects being created in the DeFi space, developing into these companies that right now is developing utility and projects and products for the DeFi space to help it become more mainstream, whether that be through the security, whether it be through the utility or the accessibility, whichever one they're looking to strive, that's what it's first starting to be. And we're slowly going to get to a point where that 3 points is there, where even granny and grandma can jump on and be able to use it. It will get to a point where it's that simple. And then we start going into the projects of affecting the real world, which is then where I'm going to see the stock market come into play. And we're going to see a massive migration, in my opinion, at some point. Maybe not in the next 5 years to 10 years, but at some point, I feel like there's going to be that transition, because the US dollar, as I said, the inflation and everything going on is going to be pulled away. Which then, where's the value? And they all want to be a part of where the value is, which will be the Bitcoin, the Ethereum. So how do they get there? Companies like Apple and now their own company, and they're all invested via DeFi. And that's how I see it in the future. But we have to wait to see how the traditional investment side of things plays out in the future.
For sure. Thank you. Great answer. Jeff, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest Well, first of all, blue chips is kind of like a subjective term, right? Like it's constantly changing, and what constitutes a blue chip and what doesn't. I would say that, for me, the biggest differentiator is really a coin versus a token, and a coin has more of a potential of becoming a blue chip than a token ever will, and that's specifically because a token is confined by the blockchain that it's specifically on, or the series of blockchains that it traverses. And so recognizing that you essentially become like beholden to these other chains, like the goal would be obviously to grow to a size where you ultimately could support your own life, right? You can build your own universe. And the time in which you can do that, like I really think about it like kind of like a Drake equation, where you're kind of figuring out like how big is the universe, and how many people in the universe can you potentially support, right? And you got to figure out what the factors are for driving that. And I look at these tokens today as really having an opportunity to exactly like you said, test, build a community, build some trust, make the shift to another chain, build a community there, build some utility, build some sophistication, build a platform where you're going to attract other tokens to want to partner with you, which a lot of these projects here have done a really great job. And then once you've built that little ecosystem, now you can take that big step and say, do I need to build a blockchain? Do I not? How do I build my universe? And I think that, those are the next blue chips. Now, the coolest thing, going back to like the whole Drake equation thing, like the DeFi space, or excuse me, like cryptocurrency and Web3 as a space is growing at a massive clip. And so, what was, the upper bound potential for a specific token is ever increasing. And so I think, millions and millionaires and eventually billionaires will be able to be made on tokens. So I don't want to say like that, that's like isn't enough. I'm just saying the next blue chips are going to be $1 trillion market caps, right? And so of the future. So I think that's where we're going.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate you guys' answers. They were all very well thought out and great answers. I appreciate all the different perspectives. So that's what I think is great about doing spaces like this, is we have leaders in the space, all with their own different kind of mindsets, mentalities, and we can all have this open conversation where we can hear all these different perspectives from well-informed people that are in the space. So kind of going on to the next question for you guys. This one's going to might be a tough one for some of you guys, might be something that's controversial, but I think the whole point of DeFi Direct is to get to those controversial topics. So for you guys, I'm going to ask a kind of two-sided question. The first side of the question is, what do you guys currently see as a big issue in DeFi currently amongst DeFi users? So this is people that are in DeFi, they're well-informed in DeFi, they're in the atmosphere and the communities of DeFi. What do you guys see as a massive issue that needs addressing or change over time? And then the other side would be, what is a kind of misconception or misunderstanding or thing that needs to change amongst the general population that's not a part of DeFi? So there's kind of two sides of that, the well-informed and the issues within the well-informed, and then the less informed and the issues among the less informed when it comes to the broad idea of DeFi. It doesn't have to be specific to one project, but just kind of the general idea around what DeFi is and what it does. Anyone can start on this one. We won't pick an order. It's just you guys can pitch in whenever the next one ends. We'll kind of try to make it more of a conversation rather than just like this Q&A back and forth.
I'll kick it off so I get an easy start. So I think the biggest, I think I can sort of answer the two sides of that question in one. I think the biggest misconception from the public is that crypto is a really dark space. Like, these are people that aren't informed on crypto. That is a really dark space, associated with the dark web, associated with scamming, because that's sort of the way the media portray a lot of it, especially here in Ireland. That's sort of the way the media hammer it. It's like, oh, this Bitcoin is for the drugs trade and blah 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 blah. So that's the thing that we need to start bringing people around to. With the likes of these spaces and educating people that's only a very minimal majority of it. For the people informed in the space, obviously in the DeFi space, there's a lot of honeypots, there's a lot of rug pulls and stuff like that. So I think the tokens that are bringing sort of more security aspects and stuff to the market and utility and that sort of form of things are gonna really thrive. And I think that's what the space is really gonna need going forward, is more security, basically.
That's exactly what I was going to say as well. I mean, the biggest issue that I see in the DeFi space is they got to have more of a KYC process when opening up these wallets. I mean, if you have to identify yourself, you're less likely to try to create a scam, try to create a a bad project try to, create havoc in the DeFi. I mean, that is definitely the hugest problem. Now, another issue is again what Shane said is the media portrays DeFi as darkness, pure darkness. And one of our missions here at Glow, the reason that we're even named Glow, is because we want to bring light to the dark side of DeFi. I mean, we want to educate people, inform them, and let them know that DeFi can be a good, safe space. So definitely agree with Shane on that one.
If I may, so I think part of I'll start with the internal struggle of DeFi. That's obviously my own personal view. I don't think KYC really matters because KYC could very easily be forged. It just comes down to, again, this is the people who are experienced in DeFi, the complacency of investors. Once you get into it and you get into the rhythm of trading, you kind of forget the reason why you started in your trading plan. See it all the time, right? It's just the emotions, the pure emotions of trading that people lose track of. And I think, again, personally, that's the biggest issue that people struggle with. And then getting into it is just, we mentioned earlier, the mass adoption, right? It's just so hard for someone to get their fiat into BNB and to buy all these projects that people get lost halfway through. So as time progresses, everything takes time, of course. So as that goes on, people understand it more. People will get the education that they rightfully deserve. People won't have to go scrounge YouTube to find the right person, no knock to YouTubers, but in general, right, there has to be some type of crypto courses, right? Things where people can get education from trusted people and people who, real financial advice on cryptocurrencies and the things that we're going to offer. Just my 2 cents.
No, I think you're 100% right. It comes down to greed more than anything else. With the main issue being internally, it's greed, greed, greed. I want more, more, more. And when people get into that mindset, that's when they lose the vision and focus of why they truly invested. Why did we invest into the projects that we invested in? What made you go, I want to put my money in that? And yeah, don't get me wrong. Everyone can come and say, yes, we're all in it for money. For sure. We all want that financial freedom. That's what we all want to be a part of. But at the same time, we're investing for a specific reason. And whatever the project you're invested in is for that reason. So 100% with that. And then for the outside, for me, it's, again, as it's already been mentioned, it's security and accessibility. Those are the two biggest issues right now. And in some cases, the security side of thing is still happening inside as well. I don't know how many times people have come to me saying my tokens have been taken, and it just comes back down to that education part. And it's like, did you look to research what you were investing in? No. Well, there's the first point. And then you give them the education content to go and look at, and then they come back to you going, I didn't know about this. And that's what it comes down to. Is we've all said, it's education and giving them the entire space, the right tools to keep themselves safe, but also invest in at the same time. So 100% agree with everyone so far. It's all about that.
Yeah, so I would say manipulation is probably the biggest thing, and manipulation across the board. So market manipulation. So we're seeing that with, specifically, insider trading. We're seeing that with pump and dumping early on projects. We're seeing that with influencers promoting projects without disclosures. We're seeing that with project owners, creating roadmaps like that may never come about. We're seeing that with people pretending like there's something that they're not. Like across the board, like manipulation is probably one of the biggest things impacting DeFi today and impacts trust. And and I think that on the other side, of the aisle, I think that there's really the biggest problem is perception. And so, when we think about perception and why it is the way it is and why it has this kind of tainted image in many people's eyes is because big money, right? And the centralized money, the biggest financial institution in the world have fudded DeFi while also manipulating markets and pouring billions of dollars into the space. And so when we think about that perception, and then lastly, like, the news who is also backed by the big centralized money is also going to go and talk about the scams and talk about the terrible things that are happening, and it's not often that you hear about like the amazing things that can happen, like the person that took $1,000 and turned it to $1 million in Safemoon in that first 8 weeks or whatever, right? Like, there's amazing stories like that happen all the time as well. Every project here has had big successes for holders, and then lastly, like, I really I agree with Katz in terms of greed, and there's this pattern that I like to talk about all the time that you see with projects. There's a big ramp up, there's a decline, there's a second big ramp up that's usually bigger than the first peak, and then there's a long period of decline. And that long period of decline has happened on almost every project that you look at in this space, and some of my favorite projects. But what ends up happening is like the projects that stick it out and that they change the course and they deliver and they can constantly build, we're still so early in this adoption curve that what we're likely going to see happen is like the people that don't have stay power will fizzle out, but the people that are going to deliver, they're going to step up, that are going to drive through adversity are going to hit a third wave unlike anything we've ever seen. Not financial advice, but like that's my expectation. And so what's going to prevent projects from being able to do that is exactly what Kat said. It's giving up too early, and it's also it's giving up too early, and it's not allowing for that adoption to happen. So we'll see, but that's my perception.
For sure. Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to add? I think we had a great conversation so far. Does anyone else want to contribute to that?
I'll finish up whatever. I really like Jeff kind of had the same comment about the outside as far as perception things go. So I mean, he covered that pretty well. The only thing that it irks me sometimes with inside the informative space is that these people do know how to do a couple of things. So they can look this up, they can check that, but then they don't even do what everyone says is first and foremost, DYOR. You know what I'm saying? They want to shoot you something and say, well, why does this look like this? Well, maybe if you actually went to such and such website and read it, or looked at what this particular term means or something like that, you have the knowledge to be able to go in there and look at these things. Why did you not do enough research to cover yourself before you want to throw out a comment that's really makes you look less informative than you really are? And I think a lot of people do that. They see a tweet and they don't even go do the research themselves. They just instantly want to throw another tweet out there because they read something. Instead of going and doing a little bit more digging and looking into things, people throw things out there, and it's from informative people is the problem. I guess is what I'm saying. There's people that are respected out there, or that people think, oh yeah, this guy knows stuff, and he probably really does. But then they want to throw a shot at a token here or a token there when they don't even really know. They didn't even really do. Maybe they didn't even go to the damn website, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've seen it happen plenty of times. Like even within our project, people shoot something out and want to try to play the game like, oh, this looks funny right here. And then we're like, man, did you even read the homepage of our website? Well, no, man, I just saw this on BSC scan and was like, yo, well, I mean, I think people should, I know crypto moves fast, but I think people should slow down. Twitter moves fast also. I think people should slow down and really start to dig. And
Perfect. Thank you for that, Ace. I think you guys all had great answers, and I've noticed a common theme amongst the answers. I think you guys can tell me if you disagree with this kind of overview. But it sounds like from people on the outside, the general consensus is there is some bad actors out there that are financially incentivized to lie to the public about what crypto generally, and more specifically DeFi is, for financial gain or whatever the reason may be, nefarious reasons as why they don't want people to get involved. There's a lack of education on the general public side. And then you flip over to kind of the people who are involved, and it's the same theme, but a different light, right? There's a lack of education. And so one of my favorite quotes, I think that applies heavily to a lot of DeFi users, is a quote by Neil Tyson. And it says, people know enough to assume that they are right, but not enough to know that they are wrong. And so there's a lot of people who have just enough education or information about a project or about the general idea of a specific type of cryptocurrency, whether it's a reflection token or it's DeFi more broadly, or it's crypto broadly, or it's, Safemoon, or it's Affinity, or it's Glow, or it's Enhanced specifically, or ShillX's platform, or whatever it is, right? And they know enough to know maybe the general consensus of how it works, but not enough to recognize they don't fully grasp or understand it. So what is a way internally, because it's hard to control the outside narrative, it's too broad of a subject. As leaders in the space, we have more influence and control of what happens in the space. What is a way that we can help members in our own communities step away from that concept of assuming that they know everything that they need to all the time in the space, and incentivize others to continuously learn, to continue learning, and not assume they know everything or assume that they're right all the time, especially in such a fastly developing state that we talked about? Twitter's fastly moving, crypto's even more quickly moving. How do we keep people on the education train where they don't become complacent and then all of a sudden, they stick to the one project they found, maybe it was the first or it was the second, it doesn't matter, and anything afterwards they're now fudding, and it's causing this negative energy in the space, whether they're fudding actors in space, influencers, project leaders, or projects themselves. How is a way that we can combat that to bring unity in the space as we're trying to do today?
Oh, one of the things that we've done is we actually hired someone to do the education piece for us, as far as working with the community, helping them along the way. We don't, discriminate against any kind of project, anything like that. We have somebody that's specific. His job, his goal, his want, his everything he does is about educating people about DeFi. So that is one of the best things that we could have done. I spent, numerous amount of hours going through, working with people one-on-one, hosting, live video AMAs, going through the contract, going through what to look for, what's good, what's bad, what's, the dark side, what's the light. I mean, the biggest thing is, actually taking the time and effort to bring the education to the space. And that's something that all of us are going to have to work on as a team, as a group. I mean, I'm fully prepared to work with ShillX, Enhance, Affinity, Cat. I mean, I am fully prepared to work with all of y'all to help bring the light to the DeFi. I mean, even if it doesn't benefit us, that's not what it's about. It's about creating the safety net for the people, the safety net for the investors, giving them that security protocol that they need.
100%. Thank you. Anyone else
Yeah,
wants to contribute?
as Brian said, I think every token, as leaders in this space, we need to look at the common goal and the common drive forward, and to put our token a bit to the left when it comes to the education side of things, and to collaborate more, and to speak more on the education side of things. I know every token has their own white paper, and every token has their own investor base, and every token wants to make their token the best or their coin the best. But when it comes to the education side of things, it benefits everyone. So I think if we could even just thinking, brainstorming, come together with a common education space in the DeFi space among some of the leaders of the tokens, I think would be a great idea.
Great answer. Thank you, Shane. Anyone else want to contribute to that?
Yeah, I think it can be as simple as just being real, man. Just being transparent, being yourself, putting yourself out there. And when you jack up something, you own it, right? I mean, these people understand that you're a human too. You show them that you're a real human, just like they are, and that goes a long ways. You're personable with these people. I mean, those kind of things are just the simplest form of what we're really talking about here. But that's what I try to do to the fullest, because I throw it all out there. Everybody knows. Listen, man, I take eggs to the face all the time, or I take champagne toast, either one, and I'm prepared for either one, and I'm cool with either one, as long as they know I'm out here working to produce for the community and to enhance DeFi as a whole, man. So that's the basics of what we're talking about here, right?
Oh, exactly.
I think the biggest issue is that for us here, there's select individuals, as you mentioned, that think they know or know enough, as you mentioned. I can't remember how you worded it, Crypto.
Yeah.
But there's those individuals that you are never going to get through to because they're not there for the education. They're not there to help. They're there for the attention. And this is just my advice: is remove the negativity. It does not matter how impactful they can be to the community. If they're negative, remove them out. And I will say this out now: I have blocked over 4,000 people on Twitter. I have physically blocked 4,000 people because I wanted to remove the negativity. And I have sat there because I don't want it. And once you remove that, you then start to see through the negatives. Now, again, a lot of those were bots too and all the rest of it, but I don't want that. I want to see people asking for genuine help, or even if it's not even negative, but it's constructive. I would much rather have a 3-page essay explaining your thoughts and feelings about what is going wrong with the project, and then we can sit down and talk about it, than, oh my God, this money's been moved. Oh my God, where's it going? Oh, no. And then everyone starts to panic because you've got a following of 4,000 people, and then you just start a chain reaction. That's not healthy. That's not going to help anyone in the space. So start from the beginning. And I said this on a Twitter space earlier in the week, is if you want to reach out to the individuals that are in the positions in the projects. Reach out to those individuals, speak to them, and explain them. Because once you've explained them what your own opinions are with the project, they can then start to have those conversations, and it's relayed back upwards a lot more efficiently, because we've seen it recently. One thing leads to another, and everyone starts to panic, which then creates a negative feeling for social media. And I've seen a lot of people have to leave social media because of the negativity. So for me, remove yourself from the negativity, then you start to see the education, and you actually start to understand what the true value of the projects that you're in.
Perfect. Thank you, Caps, on that. Just to reiterate that phrase, it's from Neil Tyson. So these aren't my words. I want to make sure people don't think I came up with this concept myself. But it's Neil Tyson. He said, people know enough to think that they are right, but not enough to know that they are wrong. And so I think that that's something I would really like.
Perfect explanation. Perfect.
Exactly. I really love that quote, because I think it really pushes people to continue learning. You don't know enough, so keep learning. You may be the dev of a project, but you haven't learned enough. You may be an influencer like myself who talks about crypto every day, but I definitely don't know enough. And one thing I've learned in the space is the more I learn in the space, the more I personally realize how little I truly know. And that's something that I've experienced as someone who's been in crypto for, we're going on 8 years now that I've been involved with crypto. And I feel like I'm always like learning about a new concept or a project or a new trick or whatever. And I'm like, man, there's so much more for me to learn. I'm always learning. And so it's good to see that other people are like-minded in that way, and that we need to kind of push for people to have that mentality. Anyone else want to contribute to that?
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, I think that there's this like misnomer that like asking questions is FUD. And like the thing that always comes to mind is like, like the difference, in my opinion, I don't mean this literally, but within the sense of this space, is like the difference between a community and a cult is blind faith, right? And so like what we see is like blind faith causing animosity between two projects because the original devs didn't like each other, or animosity between two projects because they're doing something in the same space, right? Like, or in the same category, right? If somebody's going to go and do an affiliate platform in NFTs to compete with me, like more power to them. I'm excited to see more innovation, right? But within the projects themselves, like, one of the things that, I like to see is that constructive conversations and, taking FUD head on and letting, like, you know what I mean? And really tackling those issues at their core. Now, if somebody's coming in just to be an asshole, excuse me, but if they are, like, those people need to be dealt with accordingly, right? But if you're going to come in and ask a question, or if you've heard something, like those things need to be able to be addressed by projects, and they need to be welcomed by the community, and they need to be dispelled. And now if somebody's going to come and continue to berate a point on something that's been dispelled, then again, that's toxicity. Like we don't need to accept toxicity, but we certainly as communities need to accept criticism. We need to accept conversation and dialogue. And the only way you're going to grow as a community is by dispelling those rumors so that people can feel comfortable and so that they can continue to spread the word. And so I want to see more of that for education. And then lastly, just as an aside, when I was originally thinking about getting in this space, it was after a project that a friend of mine has that was hacked and exploited. I was like, well, we do need to see more education in the market and more research and have people be able to identify more things. And so on that perspective, I think, one of them is following the auditors and seeing what trends what they're doing and what trends and what they're looking for, and staying abreast on all of the different trends in that regard. That's how you're going to educate yourself in terms of identifying risks. I think know your customer policies, I'm not a huge fan of them, but at the same time, it does give you trust, and understanding the risk reward between a KYC team and a non-KYC team, and understanding all of those types of things. But I was going to launch a project, and I was going to call it Volume. And I was going to have this volume-based token mechanism that was variable based on demand pressure at any given time. And the whole idea for the token was that with less demand, tax went down. With more demand, tax went up. And the idea was don't buy based on peer pressure, and don't buy based on hype. Right. And the whole idea for the token, it was all going to be written in the white paper. It was all going to be disclosed. It was going to be on the website, was that during that initial buy, during that first process, the people that waited and were calculated and did their research wouldn't have been screwed over by buying early, by buying that initial demand. They would have waited 20 minutes and bought in at a lower rate. And we had some really cool mechanisms there, but we ended up not launching it. And that was actually how we came up with the idea for ShillX, was as we were thinking about how we were going to market a few tokens like that, but building some tokens that educated people on different mistakes that people make in the market was kind of our philosophy. We didn't do it, but it was fun to think about at the time.
Interesting concept. It's a good way to teach people. This is why you do research on the projects you get into, right?
Yep.
Great. Anyone else want to add to that kind of question that we've been phrasing this conversation?
I just want to clarify with the 4,000 blocks. About 95% of those are bot accounts, because it's easier to block them so that then they don't get associated with any of your comment followers. And then there's about 5% that are footers. So just want to make that clear, because people were freaking out saying, "Oh, you're just blogging for no reason." It's no, there's the people that you block, and then there's the protection layer to your own following. So if you've got a large following, then they're getting hit. So if you go through your comments and see a load of bot accounts, if you block that bot account, they'll then never see any of your people commenting, and then it just helps your entire following. So I just want to clarify that.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Katz.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Hey, I do want to get a case of those enhanced energy drinks. I do see them up there.
Those look nice, don't they?
They do, and I'm a big time Monster fan, so I definitely want to give a new drink a shot. So send a case my way.
Yeah, let's chat. Absolutely, man. I ain't got no problem with that.
So now that we're on the subject, shameless plug, Ace, how can someone get a hold of these enhanced drinks? I see people in the comments talking about how they're super thirsty and it's making them want to get a drink. What is a way that people can get their hands on these enhanced drinks?
Very easy. You can directly go to shop.helloenhance.com. That'll take you directly to our shop page there, where you can get the energy drinks. Man, we got all kinds of cool stuff on there. Shirts, hoodies, varsity jackets, women's workout leggings, shoes, phone cases, flags, all kinds of cool stuff. And we're continuously adding to that, which also 100% of those net proceeds from our shop does go directly back into our token via typically buy and burn or auto injecting to our LP. If you want to check out anything else, you can just strictly go to straight helloenhance.com. We have a bunch of tabs just directly on the homepage that allows you to look at all the different variations that we have underneath our Hello Enhance umbrella.
Awesome.
Y'all have great swag. Did you own a promo business before this? Like, I've always wanted, like, I feel like your guys' swag game is on point.
Yes, I did. That's part of my background as well, man. I tell people in spaces a lot of times, man, that like the Lord has literally taken all these things that he's thrown me in over time and scooped them all up and dumped them back in my lap. I was one of the first people in the Visalis community, which is an MLM community. If anybody knows what that is, Body by Vi, whatever I did. I'm a big fan of network marketing. My mentor is one of the top 10 grossing network marketers of all time. So I learned a lot from him. And so I've done energy drinks for them and protein and different types of fitness stuff. So I'm working on doing things like that. I also have started and ran my own print shop and clothing line. So that's majority of where those things come from. And I've just realized that I can still use all those same things over here. However, recently we've been making some adjustments as far as who's actually doing the printing, because I've had to back away from that. I got too many other things to do. So I've been fired from my own company for printing. We've moved on to a bigger and better company that can fulfill us with so many different things. But yeah, man, I like swag. I like the thought of your own custom gear, man. I mean, it's if you're producing the same kind of quality that everybody else can, and you can get your hands on the same things that everybody else is getting them on. Why not offer that to your community? Same things with these. They're, for the most part, I would say majority Red Bull formula, same size can, same style. Like I said, in the upper 90s as far as exact replication formula of Red Bull. But why would you go buy Red Bull now if you're an Enhance holder? Go buy an Enhance energy drink. It's damn near the same thing. Why would you go buy this type of swag when we can give you the same quality and it can have Enhance on it? And you got cool stuff like QR codes where people can literally scan your sleeve and go directly to helloenhance.com or go to the shop or whatever the case may be. It's just things that we like to do, guerrilla marketing style, and to put people in our brand, man. I mean, that I feel like that has helped us, and that is something that other tokens should definitely be looking at, is being able to put something physical from a cryptocurrency company into their hands, right? Because yeah, they can see their wallet, they can see their tokens, but to put something physical in there, I think just does that much more of a natural connection. And people love it. So we're going to keep doing that stuff.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Maybe some other projects can learn from maybe can contract you out to help them with their swag. And
so funny you say that. We're actually putting that together right now, where companies or tokens or whatever can actually come and get a whole gang of variety promo package style, different tiers and things like that. And it can come with as much as your basic tees to sweatsuit combinations to lots of each of those, to energy drinks, to banners and stickers and different things like that, and so on and so forth. So we are actually trying to put something together, because we have a good set of guys that have been in that field and are still in that field right now, and for us to be able to combine all that and help some of these new projects, because I've spent tons and tons of money. That's how I eventually got to doing my own stuff. Spent bunches of money. Let's try this person here. Let's try that person there, man. Willing to risk it to try it. And so throughout the course of time, I figured out what works, what doesn't work, who I can go to, and if I can be able to pass that knowledge on to other people, man, that's what it's here for, man. That's going back to my mentor telling me that, what's the point of having all this knowledge if you can't, reach one, teach one, right? If you can't deliver that on down the line, then your knowledge that you've gained is a waste, man. You're not doing nothing with it.
For sure.
So we want. That's what I'm saying. You know, all these guys in here and everything we have. There's so much room for us times 100. All these things times 100. There's no way any of us could get all this piece or a big giant slice. It's impossible, right? And when mass adoption comes along and all these people can have all these dope things, that it's just gonna make things so much better, man. Like that's why you know I have no problem trying to give as much game as I can. If I can help somebody else out, doesn't affect what I got going on, because guess what? I'm gonna do what I do regardless.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do what I do regardless. So I would love nothing more than to have somebody else say, man, that would help my project out too. Man, if I had, okay, cool, boom, let's chop it up and let's figure out how you can get going with some of that stuff, because it doesn't affect me either, because we're gonna do what we do regardless.
Oh, exactly.
Well, for sure. Thank you. We're going to go about 20 more minutes here. We want to keep it down to about an hour and a half. I know these guys have a lot to do with their projects, so we don't want to keep them too long. If we get any super chats, I'll throw them up on screen and we'll kind of cut what we're doing to answer those questions. So if you got any burning questions you'd like to ask the panel or a specific member of the panel, feel free to send those in and we can get those asked to them. For the last 20 minutes here, I just wanted to kind of give you guys each an opportunity, a few minutes apiece, to bring up anything that you wanted, whether you want to ask a question to the rest of the panel. Give you guys each like your own 5 minutes to kind of address the panel in some way. Maybe you want to bring something up, go on a monologue. It doesn't matter. We'll start at the bottom with Shane. We'll go around. And then after that, after we've answered any super chats and stuff like that, we'll go through some closing kind of things I want to go over really fast. So we'll start off with Shane, not to put you on the spot, and then we'll kind of just go around the circle.
Jesus. No, I think Brian might be able to handle this a bit better than me. He's probably came a bit more prepared. I sort of jumped in last minute.
No, you're good. You're good. Brian, did you want to bring anything to the panel? Any questions you wanted to ask? Topics you wanted to bring up? Anything like that?
I don't really have questions. I mean, I do want to, really get to know Safemoon Ace and Zach and Katz, and I've talked to Jeff quite a few times. So, I think the four of our projects are extremely strong, and the whole thing with Unite DeFi, I think we have a good group right here, right in this room, where we could benefit each other and work together to come up with something extremely amazing as a group of legitimate companies out here, to create something absolutely amazing. But as far as questions go, no, I've researched each one of their projects. I know quite a bit about them. They're actually pretty good people. I love how everybody's transparent. Everybody, communicates with their community extremely well. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better group of people to be on here with, to be honest with you. And Kat, you are absolutely amazing. I love your content. I love your education piece. So keep doing you, because I enjoy listening to you.
No, I appreciate that. Some big things coming that way. I suppose I'll just kind of take over. Yeah, I have done education since day one when I got into Safemoon. I was in and out of crypto, and I was in and out. And I finally found Safemoon. I aped all in. And it was the continuous same added questions that I needed to find a better way. And then that's where Safemoon Education came along. So don't feel, and this is to anyone looking to grow with any DeFi or any crypto, is if you've got a question, ask it. Because if you don't know, you're not going to find the answer. And you need to ask to find that answer. So for me, go and actually do your own due diligence, go and educate yourself on whatever your project is. Go and find out that information that you need to find out to make those decisions, because you don't want to, in some ways, end up being burnt because you didn't do and you ended up being lazy about it. And I'm sorry, education does come at a cost, which is your own time. That is the only cost to education. The education content is out there. It's free. It's free to use and it's free to learn. So go and do it. Might cost you an hour, might cost you 20 minutes, might cost you 5 minutes a day. Doesn't matter. Just educate yourself. daily, a little bit by little bit, and have some fun at the same time. We've got great communities, and we have built amazing. In some ways, if you were part in December, the DeFi space has actually built a family relationship. But I've actually heard and brought 2 women together to be in a family, and that was insane because they were in 2 different countries. So it's a powerful place, it's a powerful community, and it's all going to grow out from there. So we're all early.
I do actually have something to add on that will follow nicely from Kat's. When you're looking at a project to invest, whether it be Safemoon or whether it be Affinity, whether it be ourselves, Glow, whether it be anyone really, get into the Telegram groups, get into the Discord groups, ask the mods questions, ask the community questions, get involved with the community. This space is all about community. The community behind all of these projects it's so powerful, and just get involved in those spaces, get into the Discords, ask the hard questions. I know we have a great team of mods. I know all the other projects have a great team of mods, and they work really hard to answer those questions, and they take on the hard questions on the FUD as well. So every mod in any of these channels, they do a great job, and that's where anyone who wants to invest in any of these projects needs to get into and do their research.
Thank you for that, Shane. That was a great answer. Anyone else want to add or give their little collaboration before we start to closing?
Well, I just got to say, give a little shout out to Raider Token. I see them like 100 of them in this chat over here trying to get somebody to mention them, and I just love the hustle. Not affiliated with them in any way. I don't even own any Raider token because I don't actually own any tokens because I sold them to be unbiased in terms of my project. But just want to give them a shout out because I just love seeing people hustle.
Awesome. Well, if that's it, I just want to say a last few things here, some housekeeping items before we close out for the day. First of all, thank you to each one of you guys for participating today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out. For some that may know, may not know, you guys are all extremely busy. You've taken the time out of your day to come together to talk with what was allegedly going to be, for some of you, your competitors, right? Because $1 in one project is not $1 in another project, which is, I think, an unfortunate mentality of a lot of people right now. And so I like to see that we're doing this Unite DeFi, that we can show people that we can come together as a community, that you should be about diversification, that you should be about unity within projects, and it shouldn't be a one versus the other or one versus all mentality, right? So I appreciate you guys helping us reinforce that idea that it's all about us coming together, building a sense of community and understanding and education around not only our individual projects, but around the space as a whole. To help facilitate that, I would like to do a review video for every single project on the panel. So I've already done one for Safemoon recently. I just finished getting one done for Affinity. It's going to go through its last little edits, and that will be out. And I'd like to get one done for the other projects as well. It's free of charge. I'm not charging anything for it. Obviously, if you want to tip me or something like that as a gratitude for me doing that, obviously I'm not going to hesitate to say no to that, but it is in no way required. It's a free service I want to provide. As a content creator, I want to bring education into the space and show people what's out there. So the purpose of that review video is a short 5 to 10 minute video just going over what the project is, what it offers at surface level, to give people kind of that basic understanding that can then push them off to do more investigative work into specific aspects of the project, right? So, okay, so Affinity has this adapt thing. Now I know, I'm aware of it. Now I'm going to go do more research on adapt. Or, Glow has these giveaways. Now I understand that. Now I'd want to learn more about how those giveaways work. And, the same thing with all the other projects that are out there. I want to give everyone the opportunity to learn more about each one of those individual projects and what they're all about. So that's kind of my thank you to you guys for being leaders in the space and being willing to be a part of this movement of uniting DeFi. So I appreciate every single one of you guys. And I would also like to extend the invite to come back on, whether we do this kind of a thing in the future with other projects, but specifically, I would love to have each one of you guys in your respective development teams to come on board and talk all about your project and get direct Q&As with the community. I know there's a lot of people that do this on Twitter. There's a lot of the AMAs that are held, whether they're weekly or whether they're whatever the platform is. But there's a lot of people that are not on Twitter, right? They're on YouTube, they're on other platforms. And so they may not be able to participate in those platforms. So I'd love to have you guys come on board, engage with the community, give everyone a chance to kind of have a longer format of you talking about your projects, answering questions and that as well. So each one of you has a tentative invite to set that up with me. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's just the invite's there. Send me a direct message and we'll get it set up and scheduled.
And I'd love to have you guys come on with the rest of your teams and talk about your projects and what they have to offer. So I appreciate that for all of you guys. DeFi, Cody just sent in a super chat, says, Unite DeFi, thanks for bringing integrity to DeFi. So I think he's saying that to each one of you guys. So I appreciate that. We're going to close up here if there's nothing else to bring to the table. Is there anything else that anyone would like to bring out to close out? We'll just start with Shane, because your closing remarks, and then I'll close out for the end of the night.
No, don't have anything else to add. Thanks everyone for your time, all the leaders of all the crypto projects here, and to you, Generation Crypto, for hosting the space. And it's much appreciated. We're the review video as well will go a long way with the projects, and Safemoon Ace will have to work out getting a crate of those enhanced drinks sent over to Ireland as well. So thanks very much for your time, and yeah, that's all I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane. Brian?
I just want to thank you for inviting us on. I really enjoy getting to take time, getting to actually speak with other members of other communities, getting to know their project, getting to know their outlook. So anytime someone puts something like this together, it's truly a blessing. I enjoy every moment of it. So again, just thank you for allowing us to come on and speak.
Of course. Yeah, thank you. Zach?
Yeah, obviously I'll reiterate what these guys have already said a couple times, but we do appreciate you giving the space tonight. And obviously you had mentioned that the video for us is already done, and we're excited to see that go out, and we love hearing anybody's depiction of what we're trying to do and what we have to offer, because everybody else displays it in their own fun way. So we're really looking forward to that. And whenever there's something to something happening going forward, we'll certainly be here whenever there's an opportunity like this. And obviously we apologize for the scheduling conflict this weekend, but that aside, we're always prompt and ready to go for anything of this nature, unless Jeff is involved. But like I said, we'll see what happens.
And Ace, anything you want to add? Safemoon Ace?
My bad, bro. My bad. I didn't hear if you said me or not. No, listen. Hey, man, we can all sit up here and say the same things. Listen, we appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? The extra content, again, something dope, man. I'll definitely, accept that invite to come back with my team on a future date. We love doing stuff like that. So appreciate you for having me out here today. Appreciate Glow, Affinity, ShillX, and obviously Cats from Safemoon here. Great group right here. Okay. I do, like I said, I've been looking at all these cats out here, and we're here to unite DeFi. So however we got to do that, listen, I'm down. I know where it's going. I know where we're going, and I'm ready to ride with anybody that wants to do the same. So let's get it, guys. And thank you again, Generation Crypto. Appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you. Cats?
For me, it's as simple as don't be lazy. Do your own research. Put in the time and effort to know what you're investing in and see the true vision of the products. Don't lose that vision once you have it, because it is easy to lose it. And just remember, DeFi is still very, very, very early. It is, as the description has always been used in the last few months with DeFi, is treat this like the dial-up, beep boop beep boop. We all remember that horrible noise. Some people like it, but I don't. And that's what we're in right now. So once we start getting to the fiber level of DeFi, then you're going to start to see the interesting things play out. But we've got to create these interconnection and links with each other within the space before anything truly can be evolved into more of a network, shall we say. So for now, still early. Just enjoy the ride and just be a part of what is to come. And just be glad you got in now, more than 7 years down the line and you're beating yourself up because you knew about it but didn't do it. I use the term regret something you did than something you didn't, because the amount of times that I've regretted not doing something has been outweighing the regrets of something that I did. And you got to learn from your mistakes, right? So we're still early.
Perfect. Thank you, Cats. And Jeff?
Yeah, so definitely one of the best panels I've been on. So shout out to you on that. Also, just like shameless, super quick plug. We don't have a token. We're not competing with any project. We're raising $3.5 million from some of the most prestigious VC firms in the world. Our board is comprised of people like Robert Glazer, the chairman of the largest affiliate marketing agency in the world. Scott Paul, who many of you know, we're bringing in the CEO of one of the largest affiliate marketing platforms for Web 2 on our board. And we're bringing on a head of product who has worked with companies like Salesforce and Admiral at a VP level. So we're bringing a powerhouse team to dominate Web3. We already have Affinity and Glow on board. We also have Nobility and DFS Mafia and lots of great projects coming on. Obviously, Enhance, I've reached out to you guys, talked to you guys quite a bit. You guys are super slammed. Can't wait. Hope to get you on very soon. Safemoon, you're always welcome. But most importantly, we're doing this for the community members as a way to incentivize the most vocal in your communities to bring new holders and to reward those people. That's why we're doing this. So yeah, y'all are welcome.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jeff. And I will be joining your guys' affiliate network on that as well. So
Awesome.
I'll be helping that, and we can talk about that after the show.
Yeah,
I appreciate
you definitely just got a tip from me for doing the 5-minute video. So we're good.
Well, good to hear that. Well, thank you guys. I just want to give a big shout out to Safemoon Legion. He's actually the one who came to me first with the idea of doing a panel like this. So a big shout out to him, because without him, this would not have been possible. So I appreciate everyone saying, thank me for hosting and doing the back end to get this all together. But it was really Legion who did a lot of the heavy work in reaching out to different projects and making this happen. So big shout out to him for making that. Hopefully we can do stuff like this in the future, whether that's with a regular basis, a monthly basis. We'll figure that out in the back end. And it might be with the same group here, or we might be throwing kind of a round robin with different projects as well to give exposure to those projects on top of that. So I appreciate every single one of you guys. All of the links to each one of these guys' projects is in the video description. So not a lot of people don't look in the video description, but if you click the drop down button in the video description, it's got the link to their official Twitter accounts. So you can follow all their officials on Twitter. Make sure you're following the right account, not a copycat. It has their appropriate contract address that I have personally verified. So you know that it's the real contract address and not someone else trying to throw you the scam version or whatever. So all those are linked down there below, and all of their websites as well. So you've got a link to all of those down in the video description, so you can know you're getting the correct links to those. It's not in the comment section, because anyone can throw a link in the comment section. It's in the video description of the video. Thank you guys all for participating today. All of you guys that are in the comment section, all of you guys here on the panel. I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys here potentially in future content. So thank you.
Thank you.